Kate.
And I'm Mandy, and this is Love Sober,
the podcast for the sober and sober curious.
Hello and welcome back. This is episode 10, the last episode in this first series. So before we get on to our topic of the day, just going to check in with each other and say hi. So hi Kate, how are you?
Hi, yeah, I'm alright. I'm really hot. It's this heat wave again still in the UK, which we're not used to. So I'm loving it. But a little bit hot today, a bit sleepy. How about you?
Yeah, good, thanks. A little bit manic, but not in a not crisis, I hope. But yeah, we've moved forward our holiday, so we leave tomorrow actually. So I'll be off to my parents-in-law for nearly 2 weeks, and then to England, and then we've got a family holiday in Normandy. So yeah, I'm trying to pack the house up. My landlord is actually our friend, so I need to make sure the house is tidy and clean. So I'm a bit and it's very hot here too, but luckily I can literally throw the kids out of the window and into the sea. So I'm quite lucky
nice.
about that. Yeah. So I'm all good.
Yeah. So are they already broken up then for summer?
Yeah. So my daughter, she broke up 2 weeks ago. So she has over 2 months. She had 10 weeks. She's got 10 weeks off, and my son's got 2 months off. So yeah, good old France with the holidays, which is, for me, it's fine because I'm not working, at the moment. So, I know I've kind of got help up until the end really this year. So, but yeah, I understand. Well, that's our topic today, isn't it? We're starting to talk about that. So.
Summer generally, and summer holidays, not as in going away on an aeroplane, but the school summer holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you find that? How do you deal with that kind of long break with the kids and the summer?
Well, what do you want, the honest answer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I find it quite a difficult time. The last couple of years especially, because my son and my daughter are at very different sort of stages and they're very different personalities. So to try and find, it was almost easy when my daughter was very young. She would just come to all the activities that my son was doing. So, but now they've got very distinct sort of tastes and stuff and activities they want. And also they really argue, so they need quite a lot of space. So I have found historically that by the end of the summer holidays, I find it really difficult. And interestingly, the time that I went back to drinking after the first year was at the end of the summer holiday. And I was just knackered. I was trying to juggle work because I sort of so-called have flexible work. But that sometimes is a kind of a bit of a poison chalice, because then I'm like, oh, I'm expected to be flexible and fit that flexible work into the whole framework of the summer holiday, which actually means I've got 4 times the amount to do, half the amount of time to do it. The house is a chaos, so the pressure's massively built up, and so yeah, I've said to you, haven't I? I'm like, when I've actually now sort of say to people, don't tell me that you've had this amazing time. When we go back to school and see the school mummies at the school gates and they're like, oh, it's just been so lovely and hasn't it gone fast? I'm just like, don't come at me with that. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't.
Yeah.
So put that away. And then the other thing that we spoke about was I go, oh, you're having a lovely time, are you? Oh, but you're at work, right? Okay, so you're not actually with your kids. Or, oh, your mum's got them, right, okay. So, and that for me was this kind of comedy, right. But actually there's some kind of serious points to help women, aren't there, in there? And that women do have to often work and juggle and all the rest of it. And we need support. So, if you've got that support, then you can have lovely times. And if you haven't, you probably are going to go into meltdown and just be like, oh my God, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I mean it's probably the only time in the year where I do have support. So
Yeah.
I guess that's why it's not so difficult for me in terms of the stress with the kids. It's only, the end of August when I'll be working, but then my husband has to take 3 weeks off in the summer because France shuts down in August. So yeah, it's probably the only time of year, to be honest, that I do get help. So yeah, but I completely see that. And also the fact that if you are juggling it all, everything's really expensive, so you
Yeah.
have to,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember doing summer camp and stuff when I was a kid, not like going away, but just going down the road to the local, like, school hut thing. But still, it costs money, I mean, it was great, like doing sort of a play over a week and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
nothing's free.
It's
I
expensive.
mean, that's one of the huge quality of life decisions that we made, that like living on the beach is just like, well, it's free entertainment, isn't it? Which is just incredible. So I feel very, very grateful. For me, I mean, it's the thing that, like, my drinking was always about boundaries. So I was quite good at the end, just drinking at the weekends when my husband was home, and I wouldn't drink in the week or anything like that. But then, as soon as the holidays start, there's basically no, I'm not working, and there's no boundaries. So I generally sort of would drink every day. Actually, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who I admire in terms of her drinking. Those people you're like, wow, they control really well. And even she said that she finds the holidays really hard because, she needs that kind of structure of work to only drink at the weekends, which I found very interesting. And she doesn't like it when it's more because her husband drinks a lot. I think she doesn't like it because they're not the holidays. He doesn't have any rules, and then he tends to sort of over drink. But yeah, so being sober in the summer holidays is quite a relief to me, really. It's huge. It's just like, because
Yeah.
otherwise it would just be every
But
day.
that's interesting that the sudden change in routine and change in structure, I think, is a potential trigger. Could be for
Yeah,
people, couldn't
100%.
it?
Yeah.
So that, yeah, like you say, that kind of structure going, that the reason to get up for work or something. And I know I definitely felt like that. And also, it's almost like well, you can start drinking earlier as well then. So why not? Because we'll just be hanging out in the garden. So there is that sort of, yeah, I can see that with the with all the rule. If you're a kind of you're at that stage where you're putting rules around it all the time, then when those rules go, then that's a danger zone, isn't it? Yeah. And also, so this year, I mean, last year I came up with a plan before the summer holidays. I worked with a coach, and I was like, right, okay, I'm going to do this, and this, and I can't even remember what I did now. But part of that, I know I booked some childcare in, but unfortunately something happened at work which was so frenetic that I had planned one of those days to sort of do some housework. I planned one of those days just to have a bit of chill for me, and actually the work thing completely took over that, and I so it just went pear-shaped again for me, and I ended up really run ragged, very, very exhausted. And this year again, I think, the money thing, but I found some quite cheap childcare, and I've got family are sort of taking them separately, which is going to be a help. So I think, it is about support, isn't it? So much.
Yeah,
and having that bit of time out for you still. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were talking about that, weren't we, in terms of structuring your day, and it's like, okay, you're on holiday, but that whole concept of, right, I can sort of, stay up late and then sleep in the morning. It's like, well, that's not realistic. That's your kind of teenage ideal, isn't it, of free time. It's like, right, like late nights, late mornings, but then you've got kids. It's just not realistic. So it's like, right, you just have to flip it and go, okay, I'm going to get up early, and make the most of the mornings, or have time before they get up, or make them. I mean, my kids don't nap now, but what's quite nice about kind of French culture is that they still sort of, when we're on holiday with my parents-in-law, they have quiet time in the afternoon. Everyone does.
Yeah,
So it's just
that's
like
really
you don't
nice.
you don't have to sleep. Obviously when they were littler they slept, but you go and read your book for an hour, and
Yeah.
generally everyone falls asleep.
I
So
love that. Yeah, family
yeah,
nap.
I mean, it's just that yeah, it is. And you walk around and sort of like one's asleep in the garden, one parent's asleep in that bed, my husband's in that room, like the kids are kind of,
I suppose
or
that's
just
the
they just,
climate, isn't it, as well? So
yeah,
that's where that sort
yeah,
of cultural thing, siesta, has come from.
yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, why not, just,
yeah,
and that gives you that hour break. And it's like you don't have to, because there's this whole thing, like there used to be a bit of a battle with my kids. It's like you don't have to sleep, even though it would be really good if you did. You've stayed up really late last night, but you don't have to sleep. It's just quiet time, like just do crosswords, or like, oh God, even if it's like whatever, play your tablet or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Just leave me alone.
yeah. Just leave,
Just leave me alone
no.
for an hour.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and we were talking about this before, weren't we? This kind of like trying to be this perfect parent all the time, and doing craft activities, and taking them here, there, and everywhere, and right, let's go to the zoo, and God, it's absolutely heaving and hot and really
yeah.
not fun, and it's like, especially since my kids got a bit older, my daughter's in secondary school. I know that she needs downtime,
Yeah.
and I don't actually care if they just watch a film, or if they just chill, or listen to music, or play Mario Kart for an hour or so. Do you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
kind
I
of,
think there's that.
I'm over that.
Trying to be
Trying to be
perfect.
Yeah.
The perfect parent.
Yeah.
I really do think, because that I know that there's a couple of things with me with that, which is the Facebook thing, where I think Facebook's a kind of potential danger zone, because you can see everyone else posting pictures of their holidays, and I think I've suffered from a kind of low family self-esteem thing going on, because I've got mine. What, are yours not arguing? Are yours
Yeah.
not kind of wanting like loads of Cocoa Pops and then arguing? You're just kind of out having this amazing time all the time. So, and we know, and from when you talk to people, they're not really, and you're not, But I think that's a real thing that can feed into our own perfect parenting model and can make us feel really shit, really.
Yeah,
can't
for
it?
sure. Yeah.
And I think also
Remembering
I've
it's
had
just
that.
a snapshot.
It's just a
of
snapshot.
the
It's
day.
not the whole picture, and you don't know what's going on for people. And people can have look like they're having an amazing time, and then you find out they're having a divorce behind the scenes. You just don't bloody know, do you? That's so true. And also,
Well, I think I'm the perfect example of that, aren't I? I mean, I do like have the perfect life. Like, I'm not gonna pretend. I mean, I live in France. I live in front of the sea. Like, I'm basically on holiday a lot of the time. But it doesn't mean that my kids aren't shouting at each other, and that I don't get depressed and have breakdowns and all sorts. But I'm fully grateful for everything. But for sure, it's
and I think there's that thing with me as well about that my kind of, that I called my Enid Blyton fantasy, where I've got that, the first day of the summer holidays, let's go strawberry picking, and they're just like, nah, just not gonna happen, sort of thing. And the reality, like, I'm like, okay, lower those expectations, let them kind of really drop for me. And so this year I've managed to kind of they've got different activities going on, but like you said, so my daughter does go, she likes riding now, and we found a place that's quite affordable, so I've got her in pony mornings. My son's going to his godmother's for a bit. I'm managing to sort of right, here's the thing, it looks good on paper, and like, talk to me in September and see how I'm doing, because I'll be like, oh my god, I need lockdown. That something will have happened, but I'm trying my best to plan it in, and to do separate activities, and to keep mindful of trying to enjoy it as well, and not trying to do it all, because I think there's something that I can do there that's just like, doesn't matter if the house looks like a tip, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to be able to do work completely brilliantly, and I'm not going to parent completely brilliantly, and just lower those expectations, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, that used to be one of my big kind of moments where I would collapse and not be able to control kind of my my sadness, I guess you could call it. But yeah, when days out, family days out got ruined, because I shouted at kids, or because, they'd argued, or because something had gone wrong, and when you have that perfect idea of how it's going to be, I've got a few instances in my head where, I remember we went to a castle, and, my son it's when they're younger as well, and my son, bless him, we went into this shop that was full of semi-precious stones, and he just couldn't stop touching them. And I was, I wasn't very good in my kind of my stress and my mental state at that time, and I just, shouted at him, and then I sort of took him out of the shop, and then like shouted at him again, lost it in a kind of a rage, and then I just took it all on myself that I'd ruined everything. And then I just cried and cried, and then my whole person to get the kids in the car, everyone sat in the car, and I was just like sobbing because I was like, I've ruined everything, I was such a bad mum, and oh my god, and oh, we just wanted to have a perfect day, and so yeah, I'm better in my mental state now, I think, than at that point where, yeah, I took everything on myself. Which is quite a good lead in, actually, because we were talking about that, weren't we? About what we've learnt from doing this podcast. And
Yes.
certainly I've learnt that we're incredibly hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's a massive part of your drinking, is that you think it's all because of you and everything that you've done, and then you kind of start talking to other people and realise, oh, okay, lots of people are getting themselves in sticky situations with booze, and they haven't had my life, so it's a good thing to remember.
And we were going to talk about this summer as well, like for non-parents, like, do you remember I was talking about summer being a trigger, whether you're, not about the summer holiday going away, because we covered that last week, but and I was talking about like how I used to see it as a video game, like the
Yeah.
so the hot spots of like, what are your summer trigger spots? So like I'd be imagining that I'd be walking down the road and it'd be like suddenly flashing red, and there'd be people on the pavement drinking, outside a bar, all dressed up all glamorous, and I'd be like, oh. And then, all the beer gardens being another kind of hot spot, like you're gonna get sniped there, or
Yeah.
the garden. I used to really, I don't think I went in my garden the first year because it was like the patio was like to the power of 10. Do you know what I mean? I was like, no, I can't be here, I gotta be inside. So yeah, just to kind of play it forward, and remember the reality of it, like, so it's not been fun for you, which is why you stopped drinking in the first place. It's going to be awful with a hangover, that sort of the reality of it. It's almost like,
everyone's going to be talking rubbish in hours, and you're going to do something you regret, and then you're going to wake up tomorrow, and that whole self-esteem thing is going to be kicked in the face.
Yeah.
Why did I stay? Why didn't I go home? And drinking in the heat is really dangerous as well. Dehydration, kind of headaches. Well, we talked about that last week, didn't we? Yeah. Hangovers in the sun. Yeah. But I like that idea. That kind of, I can imagine you sort of with your sober armour on, with your kind of like laser gun over the back, sort of walking around, sort of shooting wine glasses. Like, no, see it as the enemy. Yeah. See it as what it is. It's trying to trick you, and it's the enemy, and it's not gonna give you anything. It's just gonna take away. So. Yeah, it is. Go into warrior mode when you have to.
I think so. I think that the summer times, whichever your trigger times are, you do need to kind of do that. Well, I definitely had to go into combat mode and just go. I'm gonna, come on then, bring it on. I imagine my war paint on. And I'm like, come on then, I'm gonna have you, bright.
Yeah,
And
I could see your
just
kind of wall paint as being pink and glittery, you know.
yeah.
There's not like we're not in like army fatigues. You've got some fluorescent kind of going on as well. Good lipstick.
Right.
Get your warrior
Yeah,
lipstick
go have
on.
some good lipstick on.
Yeah.
So, but I think it is nevertheless, it is a tricky time for people. And I've lived in Brighton. Well, we both lived in Brighton, and you see it there. You see people hitting the beach, and this kind of, the summer, the heat ramps up the emotions and our passions, and part of that whole drinking and that that elevated somehow, either relaxation or elevation. And I think it is, so it's just kind of trying to find ways to release the stress, stay cool, stay hydrated, and be aware that it is not just you. It isn't like just you. It's a real thing. It is a real thing. It is, those kind of behaviours do go up in the summer. And so the addictions and the kind of use and all of that, it's well known. Oh, and the whole counselling, the need for counselling spiking in the summer, which I think is all the mums, I'm joking, the parents, carers out there just going, oh my God.
Help me.
Yeah,
so... But it's FOMO, isn't it? It's fear of missing out. Like even if you're working, if you're I can remember when you're working and other people, and in the summer, it's just a nightmare, because it's just like, oh God, you want to be outside having fun. You don't want to be sat in the office, and that kind of thing, it gets heightened even more. So it's like when you are off, then you want to celebrate it. But you can do all that without drinking, and feel a lot better for it. And you're seeing these snapshots of other people's lives, and try and sort of fast forward to how you'll feel in the morning, and what your goals are and your whys, like why are you doing this. And I mean, my soberversary 1 year will be on the 17th of August, so that just goes to show, doesn't it? It's just like, you get to the end of the summer, it's like no more. And that's how I felt. It's just like, I can't do this anymore. Like I'm too tired. I'm exhausted. I can't. My
first one was the 20th. No, it wasn't. It was the 15th. So it was about the same time as you.
Funny.
Yeah.
And this one, because you're coming up for your 2-year, aren't you?
2-year is 20th of July, so it's in a couple of weeks.
No way.
So that's great. And I do think, I think there's that thing about what we touched on last week, the first time you do it, your first summer, you just think, oh my God, it's almost like what I felt like I would put on a fresh layer of armour for each season, because it was like a change. It was like, Christmas was one thing, and then spring, I was like, well, I'm 6, 7, 8, 9 months into this now, surely it's going to feel better. But actually, of course it isn't, because it's the first time I'd done a new season with all of those associations and triggers. So it's a first, and then obviously that now having a few cycles of it now, I'm all right. It's easier. There's still like nothing like will take away from I'm hoping that I will have planned enough and moved into a slightly different cycle this summer holiday, and it is easier, this one. I really hope so. Well, I will report back actually, because I've got the plans in place, and I've got that additional awareness and more sober time, so maybe that would be a good way to start our season 2, which starts in September. I mean, it's probably good to just have a bit of a debrief. It's like, well, how was it?
How did it go?
So
sure.
Which sort of brings
you'll have to send your kids over to me.
They'd love it
next summer.
We'll do something. But it does bring us on to the next bit, which is what we are going to take a break over the summer. So this is the last episode, isn't it, for this season cycle. And what are we going to be talking about in the next one for the autumn?
Well, we've got lots of things planned. We have the best laid plans. We'll see how they turn out, but our hopes and objectives are to get some interviews with widen the circle of conversation a bit to talk to some people that inspire us and we've found inspiring. Do we give any names, or should we keep that secret?
Let's keep it secret. You've got them actually booked in, I reckon.
Okay, fine. But we've got some good preliminary ideas, and also in terms of conversation topics, looking at marketing and advertising, which is very interesting.
That's quite interesting because we've actually got somebody who has worked in the alcohol industry who's going to talk to us about that. So that's quite good. Not do an interview, but is actually talking from direct experience rather than from an insider's point of view. So about the pink washing and quite aggressive marketing at women. So that's one. Yeah. We'll also talk. Well, also I think we'll pick up after the summer holiday and talk about the back to school, I suppose, because that will bring its own sort of flavour, doesn't it, of pressures and pressure releases and just what that is for us. We're heading into autumn, we're heading into the winter months, so we will, I think it's, for me, I've suffered from seasonal affective disorder and tend to dip quite a lot in the winter, although I love autumn, and I think it's a lovely time for that self-care to embrace that hygge, HYGGE, which is all that kind of autumn winter self-care of turning inwards. So I think I'd like to sort of look at that, because that's one of my favourite topics. And obviously the run up to Christmas, like that is just a massive head fuck for so many people, and we see it on the sober forums all the time if it's your first one. So I think we'll talk. We'll try and prep really well for that, actually, because I think that's like a key time.
Sure. We're going to talk about, well, that leads together, doesn't it, sober socializing, so looking at your expanding social circle in terms of how you talk to people about you not drinking, what to say, and how to approach that, and also sort of delve more into the woman's issue of drinking, I think, because I think it is a different experience for women, and that's something that I've really learned talking to people and sharing stories and having comments, is that people are coming from this. I thought everyone was like me, basically, sort of major trauma, depression, anxiety, all these things were the framework of how I am, which is my story, but everyone else has a different story. And the fact that some people are coming purely from that mummy drinking stress reliever thing, that has become too often, or people that are coming from major addiction, or people that have just feel like they want to be healthier and they don't like how it makes them feel, but there's nothing more kind of complex in terms of emotionally,
just a kind of habit that's kind of taken hold because it's an addictive substance. I know, and I found that on I find that a kind of quite quite inspiring, or quite a relief, actually, because people automatically assume part of the label with the whole drinking addiction, like what we talked about before in the language, was it's incredibly heavy, and sometimes it can be as simple as you've just been doing it for too long, and physiologically you've become chemically dependent on it, and I do think that everyone's encouraged to think there's something awfully dark and deep and wrong with them, and sometimes it isn't. I think that's worth a nod. Often there is something, because otherwise probably you probably tone things down, but I think that's worth saying. Sometimes it's just a choice for people, and that needs to be valid as well, and not everyone has to wear brand a great big A on their forehead to make that choice. I think that's fair enough.
And I think that's something that's been really great, and certainly from my side and my family and everything, that they've come to sort of an understanding of like, oh, okay, there's not something wrong with Mandy, and sort of like, but she's just making a you know, positive choice for her lifestyle, you know, and that being a celebratory thing, and everyone's stopped worrying a little bit, you know, I think, which is nice. Just like, it's all right, I'm okay.
Yeah, that's
I
true,
just don't want to
it?
drink alcohol anymore, like, you know.
That's
It's
a good
as simple
point.
as that, you know. Yeah.
So we should wrap it up, shouldn't we? We've got hit the half an hour mark. We were going to say thank you to a few people, weren't we? So
Yes.
I need to thank my husband for helping out with like researching microphones and things to use, and to software and GarageBand and things like that. We had quite a lot of technical issues to start off with. So and also Jamie.
Jamie's an old friend of mine who's a music producer. So he's been very kindly helping us every week to edit it and put it together. So
we'll link stuff at the bottom as well if you ever need tech sort of stuff doing like that, music tech stuff doing, so that you can look at this stuff.
Okay, so my thank you would just be to my husband, just for always being so supportive and helping out on the early edits. So tip of the day, my tip of the day, I'm actually doing a tip of the day every day through July for #DryJuly on my Instagram. So check those out. Talking about going out in nature, movement, and different tips that can help you out. So I hope those will help through at least the first month of the summer holidays. And you, Kate, what's your tip of the day?
I think, in keeping with what we've talked about, spend a bit of time, which I'm going to do, just planning out the summer holidays and thinking about what the pressure points are for you, what you might need, what your difficult times are during the day, and then, as always, just what to take off the list, whatever you can do to make it easier, whether it's like having a pizza rather than cooking fresh food, or, you know, just things like that. So dial it down a little bit wherever you can. Take a third off the list if you can. That's for me.
Try and enjoy it. I mean, you know, as much as you can. Like,
true, just try and enjoy it.
Kids, they're not going to be little forever, so I know it's hard work, but you know, when you can grasp good moments, then try and savor them.
So I've been really negative, haven't I? Of course, it's the mindfulness. Like, be really mindful and enjoy it all. That's what I meant to say.
Those my kids are arguing all the time at the moment, so you're not the only one. But I've noticed the place they do it less is when they're outside in, you know, open space. So as much as you can get to the beach or to a park or whatever, when they can run free,
that's true.
that seems to be the moment that they argue the least in the world of arguing, you know. Okay, so your reason to love sober?
Having I don't know, you go. I don't know.
The reason to love sober, Kate, is because we get to do this with each other every week, you know.
That's it.
The love of the connection of our lovely podcast. I think that's what you meant to say.
That's it. Totally.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to miss you, you know, for the summer holidays, even though I speak to you every day.
I know, we'll speak every day, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks for the soberversary. So so it's all good. I mean, I think that I think reason to love sober today, I think that, you know, like I say, sort of just thinking about the second year coming up, well, going through the second year, so I'll be starting my third year, and touch wood that, you know, that it just does get easier and easier, and I know life has its challenges, and it's what we talked about the last couple of weeks, but that those early days and that real just bloody hard graft of rewiring those neural pathways and changing those habits, the daily repetition, it just I promise you, get easier, so much easier. So keep going. Keep going, everyone. Have a good summer, and we won't see you next week for more chat, but we will see you in September for more chat.